recording. All right,
All
we're on record, and then I'm gonna try to go live and see what happens. I think I linked it to my Facebook account, so live on Facebook.
Your personal one or your page?
You know, that's a
Whichever
really
one
good
you did,
question.
it will. That's where the live will be.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Gary.
I mean, I don't think it. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
up
think
to you
it'll
where you
matter
want it
either
to
way.
go.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it is your personal page and you wanted to, of course, you could share the live once it's done, or even while it's going to the Restoration Rochester page.
Okay, so it's telling me to choose where I want it to go. So I'm going to share it on a page I manage, but I feel like it'll reach more people if I share it on my news feed.
Link will.
If you do add that to your news feed, then of course, like you can maybe go to your phone or somewhere else and then share it from your news feed to Restoration Rochester.
All right, yeah, let's try
and then it'll
that.
be on both at the same time.
405. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we have some other people joining us. It says it's preparing the live, so
Yeah.
I'm just looking here to see on Facebook if it just still says preparing the live, so we'll give everybody a couple minutes to hop on. We've got Patrick here with us from Huther Doyle and Gary. Maybe if you guys want to start even while the live's preparing, just introduce yourselves and just Patrick, you know, what you do over at Huther Doyle, and Gary, your organization and what you're working on.
Yeah, so I am Patrick Burns. I am a peer advocate at Huther Doyle Memorial Institute, which is an outpatient facility in Rochester, New York. I am also one of their NARCAN trainers, and then I also work for another amazing organization called Recovery Always, or RAW for short, and I am their harm reduction coordinator. And so I pretty much do, my whole life revolves around NARCAN training, getting people. I am also a person living in long-term recovery. I was on heroin and methamphetamines for 21 years and, you know, turned my life around the past 6 years and pretty much dedicate myself to just getting as much NARCAN on the street as possible. I had the pleasure of meeting Gary a couple of years ago, and he's been one of my closest friends ever since, and I will let him introduce himself.
And you guys are live on Facebook right now, so I'll be monitoring the Facebook feed just in case there's any questions, and then throughout, as people join on Facebook, if we just let them know if they take the training, they need to comment their name so that they're able to get their kit.
What I'll do, if you could put my email in the comments, and then just have them email them, that way, you know, they're not putting their information out there that they don't, you know, everybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think.
Thank you, Patrick. Hey, everybody, my name is Gary. As Patrick said, we work together at a brand new organization called Recovery Always. And we do a lot of things. Like today we're actually a very new organization. We're all familiar with what we've been doing. And so that's not new, but we're filing for our 501c3. And on Saturdays, we do cleanup and outreach. We're located at 158 Hollenbeck Street. Right now we're inside a warehouse, and we have our outreach and warming station indoors. We provide lunches, clothing, oatmeal, hot coffee, hygiene products, safe sex kits, NARCAN kits. and let people know that we can get them, we can help them with recovery options, whatever it is they're looking for, whether it's detox, inpatient, outpatient, or any combination thereof. And then we had a team that went out on cleanup and picked up used needles in high traffic areas, and also carried all of those outreach supplies with them. So when we run into people out on the street, we can provide them with those things, and again, let them know if they are ever interested in recovery, that they can reach out to us. We check abandoned houses, unsecured abandoned houses, make sure there's no one inside needing our help. And you know, like I said, we're in the beginning phases of becoming a nonprofit. So, you know, we hand out winter clothing, blankets, hats, gloves, and all kinds of stuff. Like Patrick said, he's very passionate about our harm reduction. He was in the last organization we worked in together. He still is, you know, to this day, as you're going to see. And it's a really good organization. So we're loving it.
Yeah, it's Narcan is one of them things. There's a lot of myths out there about what's going to reverse an overdose, what's going to bring somebody back. Narcan is the only thing that will bring somebody back from an overdose, leading to death, unconsciousness. Narcan is the only thing that's going to bring them back. I've heard, you know, cold water, milk, none of that works. Narcan will bring somebody back from literally the dead. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. It saved my life, you know, over 40 times during my recovery, and it kind of, just carried over, you know. So I try to get it to as many hands as I can. Are you ready for me to start, Leah?
It looks like it. It looks like everything's good to go. I just put your email on the Facebook Live. So anybody who's watching this live or who catches us on the replay, just put your information, email your information to Patrick at the Huther Doyle email that I put in there. And you guys will be able to sign up to receive your kits and to be able to go pick them up from Huther Doyle. So with that, Patrick, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So Narcan is really simple to use. The trainings are just so you guys have a knowledge for it. So I start, what does Narcan do? It will reverse an overdose that's due to an opiate. And when I say opiate, I mean street opiates like heroin, fentanyl, carfentanil, and prescription opiates, Oxycontin, Percocet, Vicodin, Dilaudid, anything in the opiate family, it will reverse an overdose. It will not cause harm if they are not in an overdose situation. If they are, say, drunk and passed out on the street or drunk and passed out somewhere, and you think they're overdosing and hit them with Narcan, it's not going to hurt them. It won't have any effect on them at all. You know, it's safe to use. I could use it right now and be fine. So you don't have to worry about ever hurting somebody if you're not sure. The three big warning signs for an overdose, right, are unconscious, very unresponsive. You can't wake them up. You shaking them, slap them, there's no response. There's a shallow or gurgled breathing. We call it a death rattle. It's almost like a snoring or a gurgling, and they're turning blue. It'll be under their nose, under their eyes. Their nail beds turn a very, very bright blue. It's pretty easy to recognize. And they're unresponsive to what we call the sternal rub. And it's when you take your knuckles and dig it into their chest. It's very painful. And if there's no response, hit them with Narcan. We have a saying, when in doubt, just hit them with Narcan. Don't even think about it. Don't worry about it. If you're unsure, go ahead and hit them with the Narcan. The biggest risk factors, there's a lot of risk factors that go to an overdose. I usually only cover the top 4, which is using alone. When people use alone, they die alone. And that's, you know, part of the reason that Recovery Always, that's why we go into the buildings that are abandoned to see they can't administer Narcan to themselves. Mixing drugs, when you mix any kind of opiate with alcohol, with Xanax, with cocaine, your percentage goes up. I think it's 71% is the number. I'm not 100%, but it goes up a lot. So when people mix drugs, they have just such an increased chance for overdose. You know, speedballing, anything like that really, really, really brings your chance up. Fentanyl. This is something that's been added to the list just recently, you know, the past 6 or 7 years. But fentanyl is so potent, it's so concentrated that people are overdosing left and right. I'm sure you see it in the news. You can read about it online. It's one of the more potent opiates, and it's killing a lot of people. And reduced tolerance. When people go into detox, they get out of detox, and they think they can use the same amount. They can't. Same thing with jail, rehab, any long-term situation where you're away from using drugs, and then you try to go back to using drugs, it can lead to an overdose. Like I said, those are only the top ones that I go over. Those are the ones that cause the most deaths. So what to do in case of an overdose? We learned how to recognize an overdose. We learned what causes an overdose. So what to do when an overdose happens? I tell everybody the same thing. If you just so happen to have your Narcan in your purse, in your hand, on you, hit them with Narcan, call 911, right? But if you're like me, I usually have my phone in my hand at all times or attached to my face at all times. So then you call 911, then hit them with Narcan. As long as you're doing those 2 steps back to back, you're going to be okay. Once you call 911, you say there's an overdose situation. I don't know what they took. If you don't know what they took, if you do know what they took, tell the person on 911 what they took so they can prepare on their way to the scene to help best they can. Once you do those 2 steps, you administer the Narcan, you call 911. Wait about 2.5 to 3 minutes. I know that seems like a long time, and it can seem like an eternity waiting for somebody to wake up. But that's the time it takes the Narcan to work. And in about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes, if you don't see an improvement, if they're not starting to wake up, if they're not coming to, hit them again with another kit. The kits that I will provide you will come with 2 4-milligram doses of Narcan, and that is usually enough to bring anybody out of an overdose situation. But in case it's not, that's why it's important to have 911 on the way with more Narcan. So after you give the Narcan, what it does is it's going to block the opiate or the heroin or whatever to 90 minutes. After that time period, people can overdose again without doing any more drugs. And that's, one of them little known facts is that even if you give them Narcan and they come back, some of the drugs like the fentanyl and the carfentanil are so strong that they can overdose again. And I've seen people die that way. They get overdose later on. It's also going to cause them to go into what we call precipitated withdrawal, which is a very intense withdrawal, which is a very unpleasant withdrawal. Going to be not happy about it, but they will be alive. I tell everybody the same thing, at least they're alive. Who cares if they're mad at you? Excuse me. Another thing to realize is overdoses aren't always an instant thing. The movies have kind of, I don't want to say glamorized it, but the movies have portrayed it in not such a great manner because, they take the drugs, they overdose, they get brought back, everything's fine. That's not how it works sometimes. Sometimes they overdose later on. Sometimes they overdose, 4 or 5 hours later. So it's really important just to look for the signs. The Narcan I will be giving you is a nasal spray. It's going to look like this. It comes in this neat little foil package, which is really easy to open. You pop the back of it off, you take out the Narcan, put it in the nostril and pull the trigger, and that's it. They don't have to be breathing. They don't have to be conscious. This will absorb in the mucous membranes inside their nasal passages, and that's how it gets to the brain to do what it does. It's really, really important. Now, you don't have to alternate nostrils. You don't have to switch nostrils. If you have to give them 2 sets, you can put it in the same nostril. It's not going to make a difference. There's also a muscle injection Narcan that we do not give out. It's the same principle, but we've found in an overdose situation, it's hard to try to draw up a syringe and hit somebody in the muscle when, in a situation like that. It's unlogical. So they're trying to phase that out to where there's nothing but the nasal spray. But we do give nothing but the nasal spray. So after all that happens, say the EMT shows up, just explain to the EMT what happened. A lot of times, especially with people on the street, they will refuse to go to the hospital. They're afraid of getting in trouble. They're afraid, there's a real stigma around overdoses and drug addiction. So people will be really reluctant to go. If that's the case, don't leave them alone. Stay with them as long as you possibly can. Even if they don't want you to stay with them, I tell everybody, be a pest. Just don't let them out of your sight, because like I said, it can happen again a few hours later. But that's it. That's Narcan. That's how simple it is. A lot of people say, well, is it legal to carry? Can I carry it? Will I get in trouble for carrying it? So New York has this amazing, amazing law. It's called the Good Samaritan Law. And what that does is it protects you, me, and anybody that's put in that situation, as long as we're administering the Narcan in good faith. That's how the law reads. So if you administer the Narcan, you're doing it in good faith. As long as you're doing it in good faith, you can't be held accountable for any civil lawsuits. So if the person, wants to sue you for whatever reason, it protects you from that. It will also protect you from possession of marijuana up to any amount, which is, it could be any amount, really. It will also protect you up to 8 ounces of narcotics. Now, that being said, it does not protect you if you have them narcotics individually bagged. It will not protect you from a weapons charge. It will not protect you if you are on probation or parole and you have to call the cops or the cops are called. It won't protect you from any of that. But I say this, and I've seen it. I have never seen a parole or a probation officer violate one of my clients if they've saved a life. So it's really important that no matter what, you try to give them the Narcan and you try to stay with them as long as you can. The kits will come in these little blue bags. These are provided for you when you come and pick them up. It'll have 2 doses, which will be it will also have this little blue card in it. The blue card has Huther Doyle's contact information on the back, as well as our prescribing doctor. And all you're going to have to do is put your name on it and the date, and you're good to go. I keep the card in the blue bag with the Narcan. That way there's no confusion about it. And that pretty much, it just says that you were trained by me to administer Narcan in an overdose situation. But that's it. That's Narcan. It's really simple. It's really easy to use. And it's, like I said, the only thing that is going to save a life in an overdose situation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. Gary, you have anything to add?
Not much. I do want to add though, you know, I mean, I know Patrick feels the same way as me. Narcan should be in everybody's home. It should be in your car. It should be in your workplace. It not only, as he said, will reverse an overdose from illegal opiates, but also from prescription opiates. If there's someone who's on prescription opiates for pain and they may think it's okay to take their medication a little early, you know, they're still in a lot of pain and they could potentially overdose. Or if a pill is dropped on the floor and a child gets it, or even someone's pet. If a dog or a cat were to eat an opioid and overdose, the Narcan will reverse the overdose, in children and pets. So, you know, it should be in every single home, whether there's somebody who is struggling with substance use disorder or whether they're prescribed or whether there's no opiates anywhere within the house, because you never know, as Patrick said, like when you'll have the opportunity to save a life. I know I've seen more and more overdose alerts on Facebook pages, like the crime alerts pages, where they'll describe, you know, male in his 20s overdose at this intersection in the city and unconscious, not breathing, no Narcan available. And we have this life-saving medication, you know, in our possession. So Patrick wants to train the world, and I've joined him on his mission. It should be in every home, in your vehicle, at work.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah. It works on animals. Like it's just such a, it's one of the most revolutionary and underrated drugs of our time. Like it's the only thing that's going to save a person. And like Gary said, I try to get it to everybody that I see on the street. There was a time that me and Gary would literally walk down the streets just handing it to people we seen, because that's how important it is for people to carry it. Any questions from anybody?
I have a question about the winter time. So when you're carrying it in your car in the winter time, does it like freeze, or is it okay at any temperature, especially like in the summertime as well when it gets really hot? How does the temperature in your car affect it?
So they have, of course, on it they have like a temperature range for it to be kept in. I've kept them in my car and I've used them in the wintertime. I know that they do freeze up, but they unthaw almost instantly with warmth. You put it in your hands for a few seconds and it unthaws enough to use it. They did some tests on it. They froze it, unfroze it, heated it up, let it cool down, and it still had the same effect as it did fresh out of the package, you know, in the right conditions. There's also an expiration date on it. If for any reason you have one that's expired, do not hesitate to use it. It has the same potency, I think 5 years after the expiration date as it does the day it was come out of the factory. But if you do not want to carry an expired one with you, again, you can contact me and we give you another one. And you know, we take the expired one, we give you a new one. Same thing if you use it. If you use your kit or give it to somebody, which is absolutely 100% fine too. If you're taking this training to give the kit to somebody, that is 100% fine. All you got to do is contact me and I'll give you another one. There's no restrictions on handing it out to people right now. COVID has blessed us with this amazing time where we don't have to fill out a lot of paperwork. We can give it out to as many people as needed. So if you use it, lose it, give it away, just contact me. Like I said, my email is in the chat. Contact me and I'll make sure you get a new one. And you can have more than one. If you'd like more than one, just put that in the email. I would like, 2 or 3 kits, and I will make sure you get 2 or 3 kits.
Yeah, don't ever throw it away. If you have one that is expired and you're in a position where it needs to be used, use it. Because like Patrick said, it's most likely still going to be effective. Don't just use it. And with the temperature, like he said too, it'll thaw quickly. If it's hot in your car, I mean, we know it can get, I'm horrible at numbers, like 120. I mean, it can get me, pretty high hot temperatures. But if you know, you're in a situation where someone does need to have Narcan, again, like administer that if it's been in your hot car. I mean, it could potentially, you know, burn the inside of their nasal passages a little bit. I mean, they're more sensitive than our outside skin anyway, but you know, they'll be better off than not using it. They may have some burns, they could be treated at the hospital, you know, and our hope is for someone to be Narcan, you know, not only is that the only way to save their life, but that's the only way that they're going to have a chance to enter into recovery. So, you know, there's people who have been Narcan, you know, many times, you know, and not to call you out, Patrick, but he speaks about it openly and he'll talk about the number. But, you know, if it weren't for all of those times he had been Narcan, then he wouldn't be in the position that he is today, helping others get into recovery, teaching all of us about how to use Narcan and getting that out into the community. So, you know, it was not all for naught. So
Yeah. There was a question in the chat. You administer it the same way. It'll go right up the dog's nose, and it has the same effect. So the way an overdose works is an opiate in every one of our brains, animal brains included. We have these things called opioid receptors. So they're made to receive opiates. And the way it works is when you're in an overdose situation, the opiate attaches to the receptor and it clogs it. Once you get enough receptors clogged, it stops sending signals to your lungs to breathe, to your heart to beat, and it messes up everything. So what Narcan does is it kicks the receptor clean and then blocks the opiate from attaching again. Same thing in an animal. It works the same way.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions?
There was a question about recovery always. I will let Gary field that one.
So yeah, I know I kind of just dipped into it a little bit, but we have lofty goals, you know, and we're going to shortly have a hotline, a 24-hour hotline where people will be able to call for support, whether you are affected by active substance use disorder or if you're a friend or family member, you know, somebody who is struggling with substance use disorder will be able to call us, and we don't push anything on them, right? No shame, no judgment. We meet them where they're at. We let them know what's available, whether they're ready for it now or not. If you just want to talk about what's out there right now, no problem. We'll do that all day long. You know, and you can come down and see us at 158 Hollenbeck and get some warm food, hot coffee, lunches, clothing, whatever. And they know that when they are ready to take that step, they'll be able to call us. And then we start making calls, all of us volunteers, and find a facility that has a bed for them, and we'll even help transport. We're going to develop a program to take education and awareness into schools, churches, and other facilities. You know, what else do we have going right now? So Patrick, of course, is leading. He's managing everything harm reduction. We have volunteer opportunities. You know, I mean, you can come hang out with us at 158 Hollenbeck Saturdays.
We have a warming station.
10 in the morning till, yeah. It's amazing. Like, we've always been doing this work outdoors year round, rain, sleet, snow, didn't matter. And now to actually be like inside a facility, inside a door, there's a lot of work that's going on in there. It's not the prettiest right now, but there's heat. And so we have set up a warming station. So we've had people in there today off the streets, and an area for them to change so they can get out of clothes and get some new clothes, you know, and get warm, have some coffee, and just be treated with respect and dignity.
That's excellent, Gary. I'm so glad that you guys are doing that.
And the great thing about it is we have, you know, there's a few of us that work for Huther Doyle that are out there. So, you know, our clients, they get just, it's a rapid response, I want to say. If somebody comes in there needing help, they're able to get it right where they're at. And it's one of the most amazing things to watch is somebody come in there off the street and then, you know, they're being transported to a detox. It's a great thing.
That's awesome. It looks like Cynthia has her hand up. She has a question.
Oh,
yes,
ma'am.
Hi, how are you? My question was, can I a couple because I want to know if I can get one that I can keep in my car, but also I wanted to know, can I keep one at my church and a couple at my church? Because who's to tell when it might happen when we're there? I don't know.
Absolutely. You can have as many as you want. So yeah, and I tell everybody, keep one in your car, keep one in your purse, keep one in your medicine cabinet, at your church, at your work, wherever you want to keep one. I will make sure you have one to keep it there. And that's awesome to see.
How can I like so I can give it like text to like different church members and say and like give them this information that you're giving, you know, they can put their name on the card, or do they have to go through this training with you in order to put their name on the card and everything?
Yeah, to put their name on the card, we would prefer that they went through the training with me. And which is fine. I can set one up. I do one at Huther Doyle every third Friday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's somebody who's struggling with addiction and they just need a kit, just give it to them and tell them to put their name on the card.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
have
what's that?
we have a couple. We have a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. I would give them the kit and, you know, tell them to put their name on the card and
Okay.
and they'll be okay.
Yeah.
They're, you know, it's not like they're not going to get in trouble for just putting their name on the card. And then tell them to contact me, and I would be happy to train them. You know, that way they know how to properly use it too as well. But inside the kit, there's this amazing little pamphlet that pretty much goes over every single thing that I just talked about is in this little pamphlet.
Oh, okay. And we do have a Zoom. I have to get first go to my pastor, but we do have a Zoom link that we use for all of our meetings. So it could be arranged that you could give the training over that, and everybody that shows your church could just take the training, and then we go into our regular service.
That would be wonderful. That would be absolutely. If you just like my email is in there, so if you want to just email me and we could set that up. Absolutely.
And then also, if you want today's training, Judith, I see your hand.
Okay, all I wanted to know is that he said every third Friday, but what time?
So it'll be at 11 in the afternoon or 11 in the morning. And that's done through Huther Doyle. And you can go to hutherdoyle.com, our website, and sign up for the training there as well. And it'll be me. I do it for them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And if you're on now, I know Jason McDonald, I know you joined us a little bit late. There's a couple of people that joined a little bit late and I don't think got the actual meat of the training. So if you're on now and you need this training emailed to you, please add your email into the chat so that I can email the training to you. And does anybody else have any other questions? Let's see. All right.
So I will so the way you get your kits is I get your information, I give it to our person at our front desk, and then you just have to go to 360 East Ave, which is right downtown, and there will be a kit with your name on it waiting for you. If for some reason you're unable to get downtown, just include that in the email, and I will absolutely make arrangements for you to get a kit.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm just jotting down emails here real quick, but I'll be able to go back in the chat after and get the emails. So thank you guys so much for doing the training. I think that it's always a great success having, you know, 15 more people on the call today that didn't have Narcan before today. If it saves one life, the training was worth it. So I'm so thankful for having you guys and for doing this. I'm sure we'll do this again another time this year. And I will be emailing this out to everybody that shared their email in the chat. Patrick, do you have any other like closing comments or remarks about going forward?
Just when in doubt, hit them with Narcan. That's all. That's the best advice, and it's so great to see everybody here. You know, everybody should carry Narcan, and that's just that's something I feel really deep in my soul, and I thank you guys for coming and sitting here, listening to me talk for 30 minutes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. God bless you all. Have a great Saturday and a great weekend. And thanks for being here. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Keeping us all together, Leah.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you, guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Take
All
care.
right. God bless.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.